Okay, whatever. It's hard to even really be. He's not going to win. Look at, he couldn't even knock out Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is 40 pounds. How he going to knock me out? Man, what's the other guy? Anderson Silva. He didn't knock the voodoo guy. How he going to knock me out?
The boxing world has been lit up with drama, intensity, and anticipation as two very different figures prepare to collide in the ring, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. What began as a few online jabs has now turned into one of the most talked about rivalries in combat sports today. Although the fight was initially scheduled for July 20th, unforeseen circumstances caused it to be postponed. But make no mistake, this fight is far from forgotten. The new date, November 15th, is marked in every fight fan's calendar, and the tension is only building. Jake Paul, a former YouTuber turned professional boxer, has gained notoriety by challenging big names and making bold claims. But this time, he's crossed a line many believe should have remained untouched. He called out Iron Mike Tyson, a former heavyweight champion and one of the most fearsome boxers in history. At first, Tyson seemed to laugh it off. But as Jake's trash talk intensified, Tyson's tone shifted, and now it seems the boxing icon is ready to return with full force. So, how did this all begin? What led Jake Paul to target one of the most legendary figures in boxing? And how did Mike Tyson, now nearing 58, get pulled into this high-stakes matchup? Let's break it all down, step by step. At first glance, Jake Paul's challenge to Mike Tyson seemed like just another marketing move, just another headline designed to stir attention. But as the weeks rolled by and the tension escalated, it became very clear that this wasn't just hype. Jake really wants to face Mike Tyson, and that realization has made things much more serious. Mike Tyson, a man who has always taken pride in protecting the integrity of the sport, is visibly frustrated with what influencer boxing has become. The former champ believes that the heart and history of boxing are being overshadowed by internet stunts and social media fame. And now, he sees it as his responsibility to defend that legacy, by stepping back into the ring and facing one of the most prominent faces of this new wave, Jake Paul. While Jake's fanbase praises his power and confidence, the boxing world remains skeptical. His resume includes wins over athletes from other sports, but only one actual boxer, Tommy Fury, and that bout ended in defeat. So when Jake declared he was ready for Tyson, many saw it as a step too far. Mike didn't just take it personally, he took it seriously. And now, the boxing legend is preparing to send a clear message: this sport still belongs to the fighters who built it. There are very few names in boxing as iconic and respected as Mike Tyson. Known as the baddest man on the planet, he ruled the heavyweight division for years with terrifying power and unmatched intensity. Today, at 57, he's a global icon, someone who helped define the very essence of boxing. But now, he's being challenged by someone from a different generation, a different world. Jake Paul. Jake entered boxing just a few years ago, making his debut in 2020. Since then, he's built a career off beating retired MMA fighters, athletes, and fellow influencers. His rise has been controversial, but it's also been undeniable. He's brought a new audience to boxing, and a lot of noise. And now, he's aiming to cement his legacy by going head-to-head with a real boxing legend. Originally, Tyson and Paul were set to face off on July 20th, but things took a turn when Tyson suffered a health scare. As a result, Jake decided to keep the July date by fighting Mike Perry, a former UFC fighter. That move didn't sit well with Tyson. He viewed it as a sign of disrespect, as if he were replaceable. Now, with the fight moved to November, tensions are higher than ever. Mike Tyson is no longer treating this like an exhibition. He's training hard, he's focused, and he's ready to show the world, and Jake Paul, why legends never fade.
Same fate. I'm gonna knock out Jake Paul.
This isn't just a boxing match, it's a clash between generations, ideologies, and legacies. On one side, you have Mike Tyson, a man whose name is carved into boxing history. On the other, Jake Paul, a modern-day entertainer who's trying to prove he belongs in the world of real fighters. The fight was postponed to November 15th, and many expected Jake to wait patiently for the biggest bout of his career. But instead, he chose to keep his July 20th date and announced a fight against Mike Perry in the meantime. While it may seem like a bold move, the risk is massive. Fighting two high-level opponents just months apart, especially when one of them is Mike Tyson, is a gamble that even seasoned professionals would think twice about. Tyson, now taking things personally, has made it his mission to make Jake feel every second of that decision. He's not interested in playing games. This isn't about influencer boxing or social media clout. This is about defending the sport he helped build. Jake Paul may be confident, but even confidence has its limits. If he doesn't come out victorious against Perry, it could put the Tyson fight, and his entire career path, in jeopardy. Can Jake handle the pressure? Or has he set himself up for something far more dangerous than he expected? Jake Paul has always had a knack for stirring controversy. From his early days on YouTube to his rise in boxing, he's consistently pushed boundaries to keep the spotlight on him. And while that strategy has brought him fame and fortune, it may also be bringing him his biggest challenge yet. Mike Tyson is no ordinary opponent. He's not just a retired boxer, he's one of the most feared fighters in history. And when Jake began questioning Tyson's ability and readiness, it struck a nerve. Unlike others who might brush off Jake's remarks, Tyson takes them to heart, and he responds in the ring. Despite being nearly 58 years old, Tyson is training harder than ever. His recent health emergency was a reminder of the risks, but it hasn't slowed him down. He's pushing through the pain, showing the world that even decades later, his fighting spirit is alive and well. Watching his training footage, you wouldn't believe this man already made history. He looks like he's about to make it all over again. Meanwhile, Jake is preparing for his July fight against Mike Perry. It's a dangerous detour. Perry, though not as iconic as Tyson, is a tough and relentless fighter. If Jake loses, it raises serious questions. Will Tyson still want to fight him? Will fans even care about the matchup anymore? This fight isn't just about wins or losses. It's about legacy, respect, and proving who truly belongs in the ring. Jake says he has a plan, but as Mike Tyson once said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.